Greetings, Earthlings. Now, the past couple videos were deck techs around really stupid ideas, but it's time to rein it back in for this one. This has become one of my absolute favorite brawl decks on Arena, but it's even more heavily abusable in Paper Commander. Tools and fools, let me introduce you to an oldie but a goodie, Horobi Death's Wail. For 2 and 2 black, we've got a 4/4 spirit that makes it so whenever a creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, it's automatically destroyed. Pretty fun, right? Let's jump right in. So to start off, let's point out the fact that this ability is symmetrical. So what that means is it affects your opponents, but it also affects you. So for that reason, we run no equipment or protection spells. The idea of this deck is that, just like life, everything dies eventually. So unless it's a really niche situation, you will almost never see Horobi go back to the command zone. Cards like Vat of Rebirth, Phyrexian Reclamation, Old Shield Rid, and Virtue of Persistence will keep him coming back whether anyone likes it or not. The latter two are a tall ask mana-wise, but as I mentioned in previous videos, Black Ramps is pretty good. So the combo of Urborg in both Cabal Coffers and Cabal Stronghold are on board for this one. One of the main reasons I really like this ability is it bypasses dumb shit like Ward, because by the time the Ward trigger goes on the stack, Horobi's has already gone off and takes priority. But you may be thinking, Hexproof might complicate things. Let me introduce you to my favorite card ever, Glaring Spotlight. There's also Shadowspear if you want to cough up the dough. Duskmourn also introduced, one specifically for black and Nowhere to Run. Plus, Detection Tower and Arcane Lighthouse are also pretty useful lands for that effect as well, especially given that the Lighthouse gets rid of Shroud. Now, if you know me, you know I love weird and stupid cards that don't see much play. Well, my friends, Horobi can make it so you throw some of those in and make them little minions of murder. Sorceress Queen, Squeeze Toy, Distorting Lens, and Xenic Poltergeist are literal sniper rifles on a stick. The Gilded Goose of this deck, man, it's been a while since I've used that, is Retribution of the Ancients. If you have the mana to do it, you can quite literally machine gun down people's entire fields. You don't have to do any counters manipulation either, it's literally just target practice on an enchantment. But what about when the tables turn and they start sniping your stuff? Sir Conrad, Black Market, and Blood Artist show no discrimination when it comes to who dies. Cards like Village Rites and Deadly Dispute can beat your opponents to the punch and get you value for your own demise. Now, I spoke about a year ago about commanders that suck or are hard to build around. And while this one may be one of the worst commanders I've ever seen, it is also one of the most broken machine guns in this deck, next to Retribution of the Ancients. Please welcome back, with thunderous applause, Tetsamok Primal Death. He pretty much serves the same purpose as Retribution, but the kicker is that you can't even interact with it because it lives in your hand. So unless someone thought seizes you or wheels you out, sucks to suck because you'll just snipe every creature they could try to have on board. And with Phyrexian Reclamation, even if they do wheel you or make you discard it, you can just pop it back in your hand and keep on doing the dumb shit. Now, the fact that you can do all these things at instant speed means that if someone tries to snipe Horobi to make the ability stop, you can just rapid fire everything onto the stack and leave the board completely empty. How does this deck win? Well, it's kind of hard to lose when no one can keep creatures on board. The beautiful thing about Horobi's ability is it counts for equip abilities and other protection spells, so it just completely shuts down Voltron decks, and things like Tamiyo's Safekeeping or Slip Out the Back can't even stop this monstrosity. I run a couple of actual kill spells in this deck, like Feed the Swarm and Infernal Grasp, in the event that I can't keep Horobi out if I have a troublesome enchantment that needs dealt with. I also added both Gisa, Glorious Resurrector, and Gisa the Hellraiser for potential thievery and extra board presence. Glorious Resurrector is somewhat of a nombo with Sir Conrad and other dice triggers, but the ability to deny other graveyard decks and steal creatures can be really handy. Now, you could make the argument that indestructible creatures could get around this, but in my opinion, by the time any sort of indestructible creature is happening, there's already so many other things happening. And if you run Shadowspear, you can get rid of indestructible anyway. That's probably the only thing about this deck that would kind of give you a hard time, is if creatures are indestructible. But that's, yeah, like unless someone plops out Avacyn, it's not really common that that's happening. Now, some other notable mentions that are either bad under any other circumstance or just really funny to pull off are Touch of Darkness, Cauldron of Souls, Hilda's Crown of Winter, and both the Tooth and Scale of Chiscoria. That's not to say that Hilda's Crown is bad on its own, but it's even better when the crown has laser beams attached to it. Liliana the Last Hope is just an unstoppable kidney shanker if you can't keep her off the field. Lands like Maze of Ith become even more dangerous when it just removes a creature's life force. Shizo, Death's Storehouse, might as well read tap, kill a commander. And Oasis seems unassuming, but killing is the best way to prevent damage in my opinion. So yeah, that's the deck. Just as all decks I conjure up, it'll be linked in the description. It's really fun when you come across a commander that can enable otherwise bad cards, because I really like Tetsamok, but not as a commander. And I love the art for Sorcerer's Queen, and having a deck that can make use of her is pretty nice. But yeah, without further ado, join the Discord, check out my music, rap that like, tap that subscribe. Peace.